better stop them.
On demand. We're here to help you out today. I got my friend over here, Chad Dudley.
It's great to be here.
I'm Steve DeBosier.
And we'd like to welcome everyone. This is our first airing of Dudley DeBosier On Demand. You got questions, we got answers, and if you have questions, it is a live show. Feel free to call in at 774-7790. And look, we're with Dudley DeBosier Law Firm. We got offices throughout the state, and we are thrilled to death to be here tonight and answer questions from our callers. Steve, you want to tell them a little bit about our firm and why we're doing this?
Sure, Chad. So let me tell you a little bit about what we do. We have offices in Baton Rouge where we started, but we have offices in Shreveport, New Orleans, Lake Charles, Prairieville. We'll soon have offices in Alexandria and in Lafayette. And what we're doing tonight is we're trying to help out our mission statement. And our mission statement is we're trying to change people's perception of lawyers one person at a time. So you guys out there have a chance to call and ask us questions. We know some of them we don't know. Our firm does personal injury. That's what we do for a living. And what I mean by personal injury is we handle car accidents, we handle slip and fall type cases, we handle anytime somebody gets injured and someone else is at fault. We handle Social Security disability claims, and we handle workers' comp claims. And we handle those claims throughout the state. So we're here today, as I told you, to help you guys out. We want to know what questions you have that we can help you guys with, so that we know what problems we can help the community with, because we've been very blessed here in the state of Louisiana, and it's our opportunity to give back. Right, Chad?
No, absolutely, Steve. And I think everyone has a perception of what lawyers do, and sometimes you have legal questions and you don't even know where to start. I know I was the first person to go to law school in my family, and I had no idea what an attorney did or how you went to them and asked questions. In my mind, you have this image that you go and the clock is ticking and you're paying this huge bill just to get a question answered. And we want to dispel that image and maybe help out and answer some questions, or at least point people in the right direction. And that's what we're here to do tonight. And so if you do have questions, please call in at 774-7790. Again, this is a live show, Dudley DeBosier On Demand, and we're anxious to answer any questions that you may have.
So here's the way we work at our office. If you do need problems outside of this show, our phone number is pretty difficult to remember. It's 444-4444. And what we do is we just help people out every day. People call in, and we may not be able to represent them. They may call in with a family law issue, and we don't know anything about it. So what we do with those people is we say, look, we can help you out, and we can get you to somebody else that does know this. Because I can tell you, I don't know it. I learned it in law school, but I don't know it now, I can tell you. So there's a lot of issues that we help people out. But if somebody has a car accident, somebody has a slip and fall, somebody gets injured someplace, we're there to help them. And that's what we do. And we answer insurance questions. People call in all the time. You know, insurance is a difficult business. And they're out there not looking out for the people. They're looking out for themselves. And that's okay. They're big business. But we help people to direct them in the right case. Here's where you got to go. Here's the help you might need. It may not be something we do, but at least we're going to give people direction on how to get their problem solved.
That's absolutely right. And we have attorneys throughout the state. We have 20 attorneys at our office, and they're there to answer calls, point people in the right direction. We pride ourselves in trying to deliver the best client service, customer service possible. And so when people call, we feel privileged that they're calling our office and that they've entrusted us with their legal questions or their legal issues, and we want to help them out. Like Steve said, even if we can't handle it ourselves, we want to at least get them to someone that can point them in the right direction and give them a little help. That consultation, that help is free. It's on us, and we're thrilled to do it. It's part of what we do. It's part of what we love to do. We have a lot of really great people there that are excited to just help you out in any way that they can.
Chad, tell them when we take phone calls.
We take phone calls from 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can get an attorney typically from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. We do have attorneys after hours that will also handle calls. But if you're going to call in at 2 a.m. and looking for an attorney, we might wait till the next day. But most of the time we have attorneys available around the clock to answer your questions. Absolutely.
Absolutely. So we'll be out there to help. But it's to help you right now. What we need you to do is call this number, 774-7790. 774-7790. If you call that number, we can get you in here. We'll get your question answered. We'll tell the people this is Susan from Bill Platt calling us in, and she wants this answer, to this question. We're here to do it for you. Doesn't matter what your question is. Like I said, some of them we can answer, some of them we can't. Some problems we just can't fix, but we're going to do our darn best to get it done.
And Steve, sometimes people don't even need an attorney. They just have a simple question. They think it's a legal issue, and really they can be pointed in another direction. It's just, sometimes you just have no idea where to start. We get that all the time. I know that sometimes when we volunteer for Thirst for Justice, we go there and people come in, they got all this paperwork, and they go, man, this has been weighing on me. It's been on my mind. I don't even know where to start. And then we can just get them, there's help out there. And just letting people know where they need to go, giving them opportunity to just get one foot in front of the other, get those questions answered, and get that move on in their lives is something that we enjoy doing. So please call us, 774-7790, and we're happy to answer those questions. While we're waiting on those phone calls, we'll just tell you a little bit more about our firm. With our offices throughout the state of Louisiana, our goal is to represent Louisianians, throughout the state, and that have been injured through no fault of their own, and get them the help that they deserve, get them back on their feet, get their lives back on track to where they were prior to the accident. And we've been doing that for a number of years, and we're excited with the growth, the expansion, people who have demanded Dudley DeBosier, who have hired our firm, and our goal is to be a law firm throughout the state, in every market in the state, so that we can help people out all over Louisiana.
Absolutely, and we have done a great job of it. I'll tell you, I've been representing people for 22 years. I used to represent insurance companies a long time ago, and I found out how they operated, and I decided I can't deal with this, and I can't represent people that treat people like this. I'd represent the people. That's where I'd rather be, the people that need the help, people that can't stand up to these big insurance companies. And it's been a fantastic experience. Chad and I have been partners now for 6-7 years. It's been a great partnership. We have another partner that's actually on vacation, thank God, with his family, having a good time. We'll bring him back next week, because this is our first show, and we're looking forward to doing this show for a long time. And he'll come back. He's pretty entertaining. He's a nice fellow. Entertaining, huh?
Absolutely entertaining. And we've been fortunate with our third partner, James Pelche. It's just been a great partnership, and we're all on the same page, a passion for helping people. We all have very similar backgrounds about how we became attorneys, why we wanted to become attorneys, and that has really enabled us to build a law firm with a culture that we're extremely proud of. So please, give us a call. We're about to go to commercial break, 774-7790. Throw us some questions. We'll be happy to answer them. Thank you.
We'll be here for you. Once again, 774-7790.
Dudley, and this is my partner, Stephen DeBosier, and phone lines lit up over the break. We're very happy. First question, we got Mike from Baton Rouge, and Steve, Mike's question is, does it cost me anything to speak with an attorney about my case?
That's a great question, and we get that question a lot, and I will tell you, we tried to cover that in the opening segment, but it takes nothing. If you just call us at 444-4444, then you can talk to somebody at our office. And it's not just somebody. We have 20 lawyers at that office, including me and Chad. All right, and we'll be there to take questions. Anybody's got issues, as we talked about earlier, and we don't charge anybody anything. All right, if we take your case, if we decide we need to represent you and you want us to represent you, we still don't charge anything. We don't charge anybody until your case is closed. As a matter of fact, we have the no-fee guarantee. And the no-fee guarantee is we don't charge you money unless we get money for you, and then we can charge a fee, but not until then. So there's no out-of-pocket expenses to call us to get your help for you. And if we can't help you, then we'll just say, look, we're sorry we can't help you, but you're not going to get a bill in the mail, Chad, that says, here's your fee. No,
absolutely not. Even if we incur costs in the case, put time, effort, and energy, we lose the case, or for whatever reason don't recover on your behalf, then nothing's owed. You walk away and there's no out-of-pocket expenses. That is, and be quite honestly, a lot of personal injury firms handle it that way. But one thing that is important, there's other types of law where you may be charged for an initial consultation, like a family law or criminal law consultation. It's important that before you spend time with the attorney, ask them, am I going to be charged for this? Just so that you know how much, how you're being charged or billed for each question and answer period. But for personal injury, for Dudley DeBosier, you can call us and get an initial free consultation, and then if we do take your case, there are no out-of-pocket costs unless we make a recovery for you. So Mike from Baton Rouge, thank you for that question. I hope we answered it, and we appreciate the call.
I got this other one here, Chad, that just sit in front of me. Barbara from Baker.
All right.
Barbara has a question. She's currently on workers' compensation right now, and apparently she needs some new type of treatment, and she's wondering whether workers' comp carrier will pay for that type of treatment. Barbara, here's the problem with that, is that you got to understand the workers' comp insurance company is not looking out for you. They're trying to find a way to stop paying you. They're trying to find a way to get you back to work so they don't have to pay you that money every month while you're injured and out of work. And they're trying to reduce the amount of money that they have to pay in your medical treatment. So they're going to hire a nurse, and they hire people to go out there and take a look at it, and may even send you to their own doctor to get that doctor to say, well, that treatment's not necessary. But my suggestion to you is go to your doctor, find out what it's going to take to get you better. He can write a letter to your workers' compensation carrier, and then they hopefully will approve it. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they say, maybe this is appropriate, let's go find out. Because they do want to help Barbara to get back to work. That is their number one goal, I can tell you. You know, because when you go back to work, they can stop paying you. So my suggestion is go that route first. Go to them and say, look, can you help us here? Doctor, can you send them a letter? If they say, yeah, we're going to pay for it and we're going to help out Barbara, you're great. You're in good shape. If they don't and they say, no, we're not willing to do that, then you need to call us at 444-4444. Call us, because we have some guys in our workers' compensation department that are bulldogs. And that's their job, is to make sure that insurance companies and workers' compensation take care of the people that worked hard, did their job, got hurt on the job, and now they're on their own because the insurance company's saying no. Because as you know, they're not paying you your full ticket when you were working, right? You know that you're only getting a portion of those fees of your earnings. So make these guys responsible for what happened to you, so that you can get back to work and get your life back on track. Because that's what we talked about earlier. That's what our goal is to help people that have been injured get their life back on track, get back to work, and get your family back together.
And absolutely, sometimes, Steve, those workers' comp claims can be tricky, right? There's sometimes a third-party claim, a personal injury claim that could be embedded in there. And I think it's important that if you have concerns, if you have questions, again, these are your lost wages. These are how you pay your bills. This is how you support your family. This is how you get by day to day. It's important that you consult with an attorney, find out what your rights are before you do something that could possibly hurt your claim. Extremely important, and we'd love to help out in any way that we can.
Chad, let me add something to that, because Chad touched on this, and I'll tell you guys that we see this a lot. As Barbara knows, and if we can talk to Barbara later on, but as she knows, they're only paying her a portion of what she was making at the time she had her job. And that's the way workers' compensation laws are set up. And I got to tell you, they're not great for the employees of the state of Louisiana. But a lot of times people are hurt at work, not because of their employer, but maybe because of somebody else. We see it in car accidents where it's caused by somebody else. We see it where it's a defective product that hurts somebody. And those are the type of claims that actually can get all of your wages and all of your medical bills and pain and suffering it's not covered under workers' comp. So there's a big part of that, Chad, that I think is important for these people.
Absolutely. So contact an attorney, find out what your rights are. Dudley DeBosier, 444-4444. Happy to answer those questions in more detail with specifics to your case. If you have questions, call us right now for a live question and answer period at 774-7790. We're fielding calls back there, and the phone lines are lighting up. So next question we have is from Jeff in Baton Rouge, Steve, and he says, I'm not hurt, but can an attorney help me with the insurance company and get my car fixed? And Jeff, what I would tell you is that typically personal injury attorneys can add more value to your claim when you're injured, okay? Not to downplay the complexities of a property damage claim, but when you have a property damage claim and you're not injured, typically that's something that you can handle on your own. It's relatively simple. They'll come in, they'll evaluate whether or not your car is a total loss, and by total loss, it means that the damage exceeds the cash value of the vehicle. And rather than repairing it, they're going to say, you know what, we're going to give you the cash value of the vehicle. Most people feel pretty comfortable. They know what their car's worth. They know what they paid for it. And you can look it up online through kellybluebook.com or other sites that tell you the value of your vehicle. A lot of people handle those claims on their own. I'm not trying to discourage you from hiring an attorney or consulting with an attorney. If they decide not to pay your property damage, then that might be the time to look into hiring an attorney for that purpose. But if you're not injured and you just have a property damage claim, it's one of those things that can be handled on your own pretty efficiently. Would you agree, Steve?
I would agree with that. And let me add something, because we're about to go to break, and I'll tell you before we go to break, call us with your questions at 774-7790. But there's another part to that the insurance companies don't always want to tell you about. But when your car is totaled, they owe you the fair market value of that car plus the taxes on that car, which is 9% here in Louisiana. So don't let them get off the hook on that. You know, if you got a $10,000 total loss, all of a sudden that's another $1,000 in taxes and title and things like that. So it's an important thing to know. But we're about to go to break. We welcome your calls, 774-7790. Thanks, guys.
Welcome back to Dudley DeBosier On Demand. I am Chad Dudley, my partner Stephen DeBosier. You got questions, we got answers. If you got, call in 774-7790. We're answering questions live here tonight. The phone lines are blowing up, Steve, for our first night out for Dudley DeBosier On Demand. It's been awesome.
Fantastic.
We got Bob from Baker, and Bob from Baker was asking, if I am hit by someone that does not have insurance, what happens?
That's a great question, Bob, and I will tell you, it is a problem in the state of Louisiana. What we have in the state of Louisiana is it is required that you have insurance to drive on the roads. All right, that's what the state law is. But the problem with that is, as some of you may know and everybody should know, is that there's a whole lot of drivers without insurance. All right, and there's another problem is that our state minimum is $15,000 of insurance, and so half of the people have $15,000 or less. Actually, about 14 to 15%, according to the insurance commissioner, has no insurance. So you're driving down the road, mind your own business, you've been working all day, and then all of a sudden, you know, somebody runs into you, runs a stoplight, and they don't have insurance. All right, where are you left? Well, if they don't have insurance and you don't have uninsured motorist coverage, which we'll talk about in a little bit, you're kind of on your own, and that's a big problem here in the state of Louisiana. Because if you don't have health insurance and you have injuries, what are you going to do? All right, there's no way to even get treatment for that. And you can go after the person that hit you, but if they don't have any insurance to begin with, they probably don't have any assets to help you out. So that's why you need to find out. That's when you need to call a lawyer and say, look, here's the situation. And we do that all the time. We look into it and say, maybe we could find another way. Maybe they had insurance and they didn't know they had insurance. Mm-hmm. There's all kind of problems that we deal with that.
And so one way you can protect yourself against those types of claims or issues is getting insurance. stands for uninsured or underinsured motorist coverage, okay? And that protects you in this situation. If someone hits you and they don't have insurance and you do not have makes it very difficult to recover in that particular situation. However, if you have coverage, it kicks in and gives you a recovery, and it's typically the cheapest insurance that you can buy, and it protects you, protects the people in your car, and it protects your family, okay? insurance, very important. Check to see if you have it, and you know the minimum liability limit's at $15,000. If your vehicle's worth more than $15,000, protect yourself, get insurance. And the other thing is, that's uninsured motorist coverage, but underinsured means sometimes there might be multiple people in the car, and in Louisiana the minimal limits are what we call 1530, which is $15,000 per claim, $30,000 per incident. And so if there's a bunch of people in the car, no individual claim could exceed $15,000, but collectively the claims can't exceed $30,000. And so sometimes those policies can get chopped up pretty significantly, and if you got someone with serious injuries and you don't have coverage, you could be on the hook for a bunch of bills, just like Steve indicated.
That's exactly right. I got to tell you, we got some great hospitals here in Baton Rouge and throughout the state of Louisiana. But the one thing about hospitals is those bills are big. All right, so if you're driving down the road, as I just described, somebody runs into you, you're in the hospital for 2 or 3 days, your bill is going to be way more than $15,000. So then all of a sudden, the hospital comes to you and they say, oh, Bob, where's our $20,000 that you owe us? You're looking back to the other insurance company, they only have $15,000 of coverage. Well, that's on Bob, all right? So the only way you can protect yourself in that situation is to get that uninsured motorist coverage. And I'll also tell you there's another element of this. While you're in the hospital, guess what else you aren't doing? You're not working, and you're not getting paid. And that insurance company doesn't have enough money to protect you, or that person doesn't have any insurance at all. So what do you do in that situation? The uninsured motorist coverage kicks in. It actually puts them in the shoes of the guy that hit you, and then all of a sudden they got to pay you for the things that you've lost that you were just mind your own business, just trying to get home to your family, have some dinner, and all of a sudden now you're in the hospital and you got a bunch of bills stacking up, and your employer's asking you where you are, maybe not keeping your job. Your only hope at that point is that uninsured motorist coverage. And we do some stuff with MAC, Motorcycle Awareness. Tell them about the problems with motorcycles.
Oh gosh, Motorcycle Awareness Campaign is a great organization throughout the state of Louisiana that's trying to increase the motorist awareness of motorcyclists on the road. A lot of times when motorcyclists are in accidents, they're severe accidents. There's no minor motorcycle accident injuries because they're relatively unprotected in comparison to a car. And so in those situations, it's so important to have UM coverage because the hospital bills that we've seen can stack up so quick because the injuries are so severe. And I would say it's one of the most important things that we tell our clients. If you don't know what UM coverage is, if you've never quite heard of it, you don't know if you have it, call your insurance company now, first thing tomorrow, right now if you can, and ask them, do I have UM coverage on my policy? If you don't, go ahead and get it. And the other part of this question, Steve, is if you are hit by somebody that doesn't have insurance, that's one thing. But what if you're hit by somebody that they do have insurance, but you don't have insurance?
Oh, wow. I'll tell you, we got a few minutes, maybe we can talk about it a little bit. And so why don't we wait till after the break and we can address that issue, because that's a big issue in the state of Louisiana that a lot of people don't know about. I've had discussions with our insurance commissioner, and I've asked them, I said, you put these billboards up, let's put a billboard up and explain to people what happens when they don't have insurance. And they just get hit, mind their own business. But let me go back to that uninsured motorist question issue, because what you're going to find out is that you can buy what's called uninsured motorist coverage, or you can buy uninsured motorist economic only. And it is very little difference between the two and how much you pay in a premium. But it's a huge difference, Chad, when you talk about what happens to you when you get hurt. Because when you get hurt, it's economic only, so they don't pay for your pain and suffering. They don't pay for a lot of things that normal uninsured motorist coverage pays for. So the insurance companies, they love to sell that economic only because they charge almost the same premium, but they don't have to pay the same amount on the back end. So I will tell you, I've looked at a lot of those policies, and if they try to sell you economic only insurance, tell them no thank you. I'd rather have the regular uninsured motorist coverage.
And Steve, in the state of Louisiana, the insurers are required to provide UM coverage unless the insured expressly waives it in a waiver.
That's right. That's right.
And so they're going to ask you to sign a waiver. Sometimes you're signing a bunch of documents, you don't necessarily know what they are, but you check and see. If you're not sure, call your insurance company, find out if you have accidentally or incidentally waived your UM coverage, and make sure that you have it. And like Steve said, very, very good point. Make sure that it is UM coverage, not economic only UM coverage. We run into that issue. It's tragic how many times we run in people hit by drunk drivers that don't have insurance, and then are people hit by people texting and driving, and then they don't have insurance coverage, and our clients and other people out there are hit with the full economic impact of the bills, not being able to go to work, not being able to pay for hospital bills, and then having that impact their financial situation for many years to come. You can prevent that.
We're going to break now, but let's call us at 774-7790.
All right, so come out there and Welcome back to Dudley DeBosier On Demand. I'm Chad Dudley, my partner Stephen DeBosier. We're here tonight answering questions from the viewing audience. Call us at 774-7790. We are happy to take your question and answer it here live on Dudley DeBosier On Demand. We had some more calls come in over the break, Steve, and one of them was from Gail in Livingston, and she says that she is currently receiving Social Security disability. However, she does smoke marijuana for pain, and can she lose her benefits if that's in her system at the time of her next doctor visit?
Gail, I can tell you we have some guys at our office that do only Social Security disability benefits, and they do it really well. And we've talked to them. As a matter of fact, I didn't know all the answers to this. As I told you earlier, I don't know the answers to everything. So I called my guy and said, hey, what's the story here? And this is what he tells me. As long as you're receiving the benefits and you're smoking weed, which, we can tell you, we would suggest against that. But if you are and you go to the doctor and you tell that to the doctor or he finds it in your system, it's not going to automatically knock off your Social Security benefits. But if you're up for review, which is going to happen in your case, and that happens, then it's up to the judge that's going to decide whether or not you're going to get kicked off the benefits. I'll tell you, it just may happen. So I'd be super careful with that. I certainly would advise against it. And my job here is to help you, and that's just not going to help you in your situation if you're already disabled. And now, I understand that you're doing it for pain, but there's doctors can do a lot of other things for pain. There's doctors out there that just do pain management that may be able to help you out.
Absolutely, Steve. And those are one of the situations, these judges handle these cases on a case-by-case basis. We can't predict or can't tell you exactly what they're going to do in a particular situation. But look, in the state of Louisiana, it's illegal, and it doesn't help your case in any way, shape, or form. Strongly recommend to stopping and looking for other alternatives of pain management so that you do not possibly affect your Social Security disability benefits in the future. Go ahead.
I was just going to tell you, Gail, there's a lot of different judges out there that make these decisions. And as Chad pointed out, we can't predict what they're going to do. But I will tell you, most judges, as a general rule, frown upon breaking the law. And if you're breaking the law and you're receiving federal money, there's usually, there's a disconnect there. And they say, if you don't stop doing this, we're going to stop giving you the money. That's just the way it works.
Absolutely. We got another Social Security question. This one is from Mike in Gonzales. He has diabetes, had 2 blood clots, and is worried about losing his job. And he's heard that you have to be out of work for 1 year to get disability. And he is expected to be out for more than a year should he apply for Social Security disability. And the question is, yes, there's some truth in that you can apply for Social Security disability for a number of reasons. Some are for mental type disabilities, others are for physical disabilities. And we spoke with our Social Security attorney. He mentioned that getting disability for blood clots, diabetes is typically pretty tough. They are looking for injuries that prevent you from working for a year or more. But the other part of that is don't wait necessarily a year to apply for Social Security disability benefits, because the process can take a long time. You could apply for benefits today and you may not be up for a hearing or evaluation for 12 months. And by that time you may have been out of work for a year. And so if you're seriously injured, you're concerned about being out of work for a year or more, absolutely consult with the Social Security disability attorney. Find out what the best way, what the most efficient way is to apply for benefits and get them as soon as possible.
And the other part about that, Chad, is that the viewers need to know is that most times when you apply, you get denied. That's the way it works. And you apply on your own, and once you get denied, which happens, like I said, most of the time, then you can call a lawyer. We have a department that does just that, and when you call 444-4444, you call us, and then we can handle the appeal, and we're very successful in getting those cases that were denied turned over and getting benefits applied. But your case is difficult, I must tell you.
Absolutely. And Steve, when we were talking before the break, one of the questions that was asked was, what happens when I'm hit by somebody that has no insurance? And we kind of answered that question, and then we talked about the opposite of that. What happens if someone hits me, they're at fault, but I don't have insurance that's in effect at the time of the accident? What does that do to my claim? And to answer that, Louisiana has a no pay, no play statute. We don't necessarily agree with it, but it is the law, is that if you do not have insurance on your vehicle at the time of the accident, even though it's not your fault, you are prevented from recovering the first $15,000 of your personal injury claim, which means that the judge, the adjuster, whoever is evaluating, or whoever ultimately decides what your claim is worth, has to determine that your injuries exceed that $15,000 threshold, or you will not recover on your claim. It's unfortunate. We've heard some tough stories where people didn't get the check into the insurance company out of time, or it was in the mail, or something happened, and some
Absolutely, Chad.
and they get penalized even though they're not at fault. And it's really tough. And Steve, there's also a property damage component to that.
That's I'll tell you, that's a part that people get shocked by. There are people out there that know about the no pay, no play issue, Chad.
Mm-hmm.
But the as to the bodily injury claim, but it's also as to your property damage claim, Chad. So if somebody gets hurt, that's one thing. But if you get your car that you've been driving and you got a $25,000 car, you lose the first $25,000 of your property damage claim. So you're in a situation where you may have been late by one payment, right?
Yep.
You all of a sudden, whatever you had issues in
hours late,
and all of a sudden, on the way to pay your claim, pay your premium, you get hit, and all of a sudden your car is totaled that you've been saving up for a long time. The first $25,000 you lose out on. And I've seen that a lot, and that will devastate a family, man. That will absolutely
a huge setback. Setback, because they don't care how much you've paid off on the vehicle, right?
No,
they don't care if the other driver was texting, drinking whiskey, backwards, and hit you.
I will clarify one thing. There is one part of that. If the person that hit you is convicted of DWI, then it's a different story.
Right.
But I got to tell you,
how many times have we seen people that very likely drunk but not convicted?
Oh, sure. The whiskey bottles rolling out the car, the bed of the truck's full of beer cans, and they smoked the car, and all of a sudden, because you were 15 minutes later, you were a day late paying your premium, all of a sudden the car that you've been saving up for is just a hunk of metal now that you got to sell to the junkyard, and then you got to start back over, and you probably owe money on that car, right? And so you still got to pay the bank the money you owe them. And so now all of a sudden you owe the bank and you have no vehicle and no way to get to work. Moral of the story is, guys, man, stay on top of that insurance.
Absolutely. Some really tough stories. And so, there are some loopholes, but contact an attorney and find out your exact rights for your particular situation. Again, we're taking a break. Call us back at 774-7790, waiting for your call, and we're going to commercial break. Thank you. All right, good save there.
Welcome back. This is Dudley DeBosier on demand. You got questions and we got answers. Let me remind you guys, this is a live TV show. We're in the studio broadcasting together with my partner Chad Dudley over here. I'm Steve DeBosier, and we've been taking phone calls, and on the break we get the phone calls, we get the questions, and we answer them. So you can call us at 774-7790. That's 774-7790. We're here to answer your questions. We'll be here probably another 30 minutes or so, and we'll answer whatever questions you have. We're going to do our best. Like I said before, some of them we know, some of them we don't. But if we don't know them, we'll find the answer for you.
Absolutely. Great to be here again. We're live TV, Steve. Live. It's us and Saturday Night Live, and that's it, right? We just live TV, no safety net. We're happy to be here. We got another question that a caller, was it Barbara from Baker, that called in over the break, and her question was, what happens if I'm hit by somebody that was not in a company vehicle, but was on the job in their personal vehicle, and they caused me an injury? And that's a course and scope question, and what that means is, one of the main things is whether or not the person who caused your injury was in the course and scope of their employment. Were they working for someone else when they hit you? Were they on their cell phone? Were they on the way to a job, from a job? There's a lot of factors that go into that analysis, and extremely important to have an attorney involved in that situation so that they can examine all of those factors and give you good counsel as to whether or not you're dealing with a personal policy or possibly a commercial policy or business. Again, in that situation where in Louisiana we only have $15,000 of minimal liability limits, if you have a ton of bills and you only believe that there's that $15,000 policy out, but they were in the course and scope of their business, then they can possibly recover for all their bills.
Absolutely. I'll tell you, we get these phone calls all the time. we get somebody with some devastating injuries, and the police officer goes out there and he's doing his job. I mean, these police officers here in Louisiana and Baton Rouge, fantastic guys, man. They really are great people. So we see them, they go out to the accident scene, they ask some questions. You know, the person that ran the stoplights in his personal vehicle, so they take down the information and find out he only has $15,000 of coverage, or they find out he has no insurance, right? And so this person that he just hurt real bad's out of luck. But then we take a look at it and we find out that this Joe Schmo here that ran the stoplight, guess what? That guy's working for a big company, and he actually got called into the office by the boss, and the boss says, hey, look, I need you to run down to Home Depot and pick up some things for us. Come on back with those things. Well, that's what Chad was talking about. That's the course and scope of employment.
And I need it in 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, hurry up and bring that back.
Hurry up and head on back.
Joe Schmo's on a real fast run, probably running the stoplights, but it really doesn't make any difference about that. The issue really is he working for somebody, and is he on a mission for that company? And if he's doing that, then the company is responsible, and the company has insurance. And we see that all the time where it looks like hopeless. We got somebody that's up in the hospital, got no way to take care of themselves. We do a little research, we do a little investigation and find out, heck, that Joe Schmo running the red light, guess what, man? He's working for, I won't name some companies, but some big company, and they got insurance, and all of a sudden the person in the hospital bed, they get taken care of.
No, that's absolutely true. And sometimes there's not even if they're not in course and scope, sometimes there's just other policies out there. And as the injuries get more and more severe, it's more and more important to get an attorney to look, do some digging, find out what your options are, what's available to you, and just make sure that you're getting the full recovery possible in each and every situation. We see it time and time again where someone comes to us and says there's no insurance, or there's minimal insurance, or my injuries greatly exceed what's available. And we dig, we look, we do some investigation, and we find out that they were in course and scope, or there is another policy, and able to help that client out. And it's great, makes us feel great. There's no worse feeling when we have a severely injured client and they can't even recover for their hospital bills.
Oh, no question. Yeah, I'll tell you, I've just finished working on a case where there's $10,000 of insurance coverage and absolutely debilitating injuries. A girl lived, but man, just a sad situation when there's just no way for her to be taken care of. And unfortunately, as you guys out there, members of taxpayers, the state of Louisiana, well, that's where the burden falls when that happens. The burden falls on the taxpayers to take care of that person that's been hurt by somebody out there irresponsible. But I want to touch back on the thing that we just talked about with the insurance companies. I had a friend of mine ask me this just the other day. He said, look, if you borrow my vehicle and you get in a wreck, whose insurance company pays? I got insurance, he's got insurance. Well, here's the truth about that. The insurance follows the car. So if my buddy loans me his car and I'm driving down the road and I hurt somebody, his insurance company pays first. But there's another part to that. My insurance company pays second. So in a situation where you may have only had one insurance policy, now you have two. So when you have a situation where somebody's borrowed somebody else's car with permission, the permission part's important. But if they borrowed the car, sometimes you have two insurance policies, Chad. Absolutely. And that's a good avenue to find some more help for people that got hurt.
Absolutely, and you touched on another issue there is permissive use. It happens out there a lot of time where sometimes someone will loan their car to somebody with their permission. That person gets into an accident, and then they say, you know what, they didn't have permission. And there's a lot of investigation that has to go into that process to prove that they had the permission of the owner so that that insurance kicks in. We see that comes up quite a bit.
We had a car. Oh, we had a situation recently where we had a farmer that had an illegal immigrant, drives a car, hurts somebody really, really bad. The farmer has insurance, but then when the insurance company gets involved, all of a sudden, the illegal immigrant gets deported back to Mexico. The insurance company comes in and says, whoa, wait, that guy didn't have permission. He didn't have permission to drive it, and we don't have insurance. And we fought that battle and won that battle, but I'll tell you, it was difficult. And that insurance company, they were trying to get away with that because they knew we couldn't go find that fella down there in Mexico.
It's tough.
Woo, man, but yeah, you got to be careful with things like that.
And that happens a lot, and that's another great reason why you need UM coverage. Okay, in that situation, if there was any issues with permissive use or whether or not they had permission, then your UM coverage again protects you in that situation, prevents you from bearing the brunt of someone lying about permissive use. Okay, very, very important. Very important.
Absolutely. And sometimes it's not even a lie. I tell you, I won't get into all the details, but it could be just as simple as leaving your keys out and somebody taking the car. Sometimes that's permission, sometimes it's not. But the bottom line is you need to find somebody that's going to go find the answer for you. Somebody that's going to go investigate. Somebody who's going to work hard and find out, there really is permission, and this insurance company really should be responsible. And I'm not here to beat up on insurance companies because there's a lot of great ones, but I got to tell you, they make a living by not paying claims or paying as little as possible. That's how they get big businesses.
Absolutely.
Guys, we're going to go to another break here. We appreciate all the phone calls.
Keep them
call
coming.
us, man. We're here live. We're answering questions for you guys. We're here for your information. 774-7790. That's 774-7790. And we'll see you guys after the break.
On Demand. I am Chad Dudley. My partner is Stephen DeBosier. We are with the law firm Dudley DeBosier, and we're here to answer your questions live. 774-7790. If we don't get to your call today, we had a lot of calls tonight. If we don't get to yours tonight, please keep calling in. We'll answer it next week, Thursday. We're going to be on every Thursday night, 7 p.m. on Me TV. Steve, one of the questions that we had over the break was a follow-up to something we answered last session was, okay, if I loan my car to somebody and then they cause an accident, my insurance can get sued, but can I get sued?
It's a great question. And let me tell you something, guys. That's why we love this live TV stuff, because I realized I didn't cover that issue, and now I know I didn't cover the issue, and we can talk about it before somebody sits at home going, man, I'm not loaning my car to anybody now, right? Oh, no. We're good people here in the state of Louisiana. I mean, you can loan your car. Here's the issue. If you have insurance on your car, somebody gets in a wreck driving your car, your insurance company goes first. Their insurance company goes second. But the good part about this is that you are not responsible. They can't sue you and make you responsible for what someone else did. Now, let me tell you a little bit about that before you go and say, oh, I'm free and I'm off the hook. There's one little caveat to that. There's one little issue you got to address. You can't give your keys to somebody you know shouldn't be driving. What you don't want to do is have your friend that's been drinking too much and say, oh, here, you can take my car home. Then that's a little bit different issue. That's called negligent entrustment. It's a complicated part of the law, but you don't want to be in that situation. But if you're just giving your keys to somebody that's a friend of yours that needs to drive the car, no problem. You're free and they can't come after you. But just be careful. Don't put yourself in a situation where you know you're doing something wrong. You're doing something wrong if you let somebody that's drunk take off in a vehicle, or your vehicle, more importantly.
Again, it's another great reason why there's so many permutations and iterations of the law. And so if you're in a situation and the insurance company is saying, look, the guy that hit you did not have permission to use that vehicle, talk to your attorney. We can investigate these things. We can look deeper. We can dig deeper and find out what was really going on. I mean, how many times has someone's initial story, maybe in the accident report or giving a witness statement, change in a deposition when they are under oath, when we maybe got their phone records and when we got other evidence that does not support what they said at the scene of the crime? It happens pretty frequently.
Happens all the time, guys. And look, we're short today. We're going to be back next week, as Chad said. We're going to be here every Thursday at 7 o'clock. Mm-hmm. And here's one of the things we're going to talk about, because this happens way too much now. All right, we used to have this problem, people talking on their cell phone driving down the road, and that was bad. But guess what's worse?
Texting and driving.
What?
It is it's an epidemic, and not only in Baton Rouge, but just across the country. More and more people believe that they can multitask while they're driving on our interstates, on our streets, all over the place. And we're seeing a huge rise in the statistics of people that are injured because someone is texting and driving. And the shocking news is not only are the statistics going up, but there are a tremendous number of unreported texting and driving accidents. Because guess what, Steve? Does anybody ever say, I was texting and driving when I hit that guy in the car? Never.
Chad and I, we've had the luxury of going to a lot of high schools, and we talk to the kids there about at their events and their we go there and we talk about texting and driving, drinking and driving. Well, what we found out in the last year is the bigger problem, the more dangerous situation actually is texting and driving than drinking and driving. So we talk to these kids about this, but I got to tell you, it's not just the texting. Everybody has smartphones. You can search things on the internet. People are down looking at maps. There's all kind of things going on, man. Yeah. It is. So be careful, because I got to tell you, if you're texting and driving and you hit somebody and they hire me and they hire Chad and they hire Dudley DeBosier, guess what we're going to do? We're going to go get your cell phone records. We're going to find out who you were texting and what happened.
Absolutely.
And you don't want to be in that situation. We tell that to those kids, and we tell them, guess what we're going to do? We're going to tell your mother who you were texting and what you were texting about, and boy, that scares them. That straightens them up, huh, Chad?
Absolutely. And Steve, what we've seen is that juries just aren't that sympathetic to people that are texting and driving over some craziness and then cause a severe injury to someone else. They've been very, very unsympathetic, and it's something
it's
that
now
happens all the
illegal.
time.
Absolutely,
Absolutely.
It's legal to talk on your cell phone when you're in the car. Some states it's not. Some states you have to have a Bluetooth device, but in the state of Louisiana, it is illegal to text while you're driving.
Yep.
So most people know that, but a lot of people don't. But whether they know it or they don't know it, they're doing it, and they're doing it every day. Walk around, when you're driving in your car, look around the people sitting next to you at the stoplight. They're texting. That's illegal. Yep. And the bigger problem is, and the reason why it's illegal, Chad, is because at the next stoplight, they're going to be looking at their phone, and somebody's going to be crossing the street, somebody's going to be in a crosswalk, or somebody's going to stop in front of them, and then they're going to hit them.
Absolutely. And when we, as we've been speaking to schools and getting up to speed on a lot of the texting and driving statistics, they say that it takes approximately 3 to 5 seconds to read and respond to a text. And when you're traveling at 30, 40, 50, 60 miles an hour, you cover over 500 feet in a millisecond. 500 feet where you're not even looking at the road, and it's scary. It's happening all the time. And another thing that we see a lot of are pedestrians texting, walking across, not paying attention to cars coming, going, and
walking in the street.
Walking the street, and
Goodness
it's just we see it over and over. It's absolutely something that you need to be aware of, and be safe out there, and don't put your life at risk, the lives of the people in your car at risk, or those around you.
So guys, I got to tell you, it's been fantastic tonight. This is our first show, and we've loved it. We've had some great callers, asked some great questions. We're trying to get some technology so that we can get the calls in live, which I think will be pretty cool. But we'll be here next Thursday to do this as well. We'll be here the Thursday.
We're going to have our partner? We're going to have James Peltier?
Absolutely. James Peltier will be here to entertain
Don't want to miss
you guys.
it.
Call in at 774-7790. We'll be here to ask you questions. Think about them until next week. Talk to your friends. Tell these guys are right there. They're giving free advice over the TV, right?
Absolutely. Or you can email us at questions@duddleydebosier.com, and we will collect those and then get those on the air, answer them next time on the air. So thank you for tuning in to Dudley DeBosier On Demand. It was a lot of fun. We'll see you next week, 7 p.m., same time, same place.